Hey everyone, my name is Sanjay Ganesh and I'm a TA with Dr. Rubin's Mini Medical School. So with this pandemic, we've all been hit with tons and tons of information regarding COVID-19 and how it spreads. And on top of that, science is a continuous process, and when it comes to COVID research, we're truly on the forefront of scientific knowledge. And with that, we are learning new things every day, and everyday information that we previously thought true was outdated or is proven false. This makes it really difficult to sort through what is medically accurate and what is unproven or just flat out false. So what I and a few other TAs here have decided to do is to condense all of the most scientifically accurate and important information as of the date of this publication into a short video that we could then share with our community. So this will be the first installment of a number of mini medical school videos that we will publish in order to help inform you with accurate information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. This video specifically will be on the topic of masks, and with that being said, why do you wear a mask?
I wear a mask to protect myself.
I wear a mask because stores require it.
I wear a mask because my parents said I had to.
I wear a mask because I saw everybody else doing it.
I wear a mask because the CDC and health professionals told me to.
I wear a mask because my teachers tell me to.
Alright, so while those might seem like valid reasons as to why you should wear a mask, I want to show you that that isn't what you should be telling yourself every time you feel uncomfortable with the mask on, and that there's a much more compelling reason that you should remind yourself of every time you think, oh, maybe I don't need to wear a mask today. But in order for you to fully understand that reason, we need to dive into some of the science.
The way COVID-19 is primarily spread is through respiratory droplet transmission, or RDT. What this essentially means is that the germs in the microscopic droplets blasted out when you sneeze or cough can diffuse up to 12 feet away where someone else can become infected. All types of masks, from cloth to surgical to respirators, boast a 65 to 95% reduction rate in RDT, depending on what study you look at. If you wear a mask, droplets from breathing, talking, sneezing, or coughing stay within the mask or at least only diffuse a few feet. Therefore, with social distancing, limited gatherings, and responsible mask use, the risk of infection and transmission can be minimized, although not eliminated. However, all of these preventive measures are together effective, not just on their own. COVID-19 can also be transmitted through surfaces, such as doorknobs and delivered packages, but this is not the primary method of infection and is extremely unlikely, especially if you regularly wash your hands with soap and refrain from touching your face. Another common misconception is that you will know when you're contagious. This is simply not the case. COVID-19 symptoms can appear anywhere between 2 and 14 days from when you're infected. So you can contract COVID-19, still test negative and show no symptoms, go on to spread the virus to anyone you come in contact with during this period, and then test positive and show symptoms after the damage is already done.
It has been established that the novel coronavirus is much more dangerous than the flu. On the surface, COVID-19 looks very similar to the seasonal flu. Both can cause symptoms such as fever and body aches. Both are also more deadly to people over the age of 65. And the viruses that cause these illnesses spread in similar ways, mainly from person to person through respiratory droplets. But COVID-19 is not your seasonal flu. In many ways, it's much worse. For starters, there's a yearly vaccine available for the seasonal flu. However, we currently do not have a vaccine against the coronavirus, but according to the CDC as of today, the first doses of a vaccine are expected before the end of 2020, well into the beginning of 2021. According to UCI Health, the virus that causes COVID-19 is similar to SARS, as it attaches to the same receptors as SARS-CoV-1, but the COVID-19 receptors are much more stickier. This allows the virus to enter cells more quickly, get a firmer grasp, and begin spreading more quickly and rapidly throughout the body. The virus also attacks the lower respiratory tract, which would be the bronchial tubes and the lungs. This can lead to pneumonia. That triggers an inflammatory response as the body attempts to fight the invader. In some people, about 15%, this immune response starts a cyclical overreaction of the body's immune systems. It's called a cytokine storm. Cytokine production is a normal immune response to try to kill any virus. Under normal circumstances, the response peaks early, clears the virus, and helps produce antibodies and T cells specific for the virus. But in some COVID-19 patients, the cytokine response sticks around for too long and too strongly. Due to this, you can not only get severe damage to the lungs, which may or may not directly attribute to the virus, but the cytokine storm can also contribute to clot formation, kidney damage, and heart damage. This is what's causing some people to become severely ill or die due to their body's excessive inflammatory response, making COVID-19 very deadly for those who are not protecting themselves and following guidelines from the CDC.
According to the CDC, people with COVID-19 have had a wide variety of symptoms, ranging from mild symptoms to severe illness. Symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. Symptoms include fever, chills, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion, runny nose, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. However, these are not the only possible symptoms. One should seek emergency medical attention immediately if they have trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion, an inability to wake or stay awake, bluish lips or face, or any symptoms that are severe or concerning. Some people have an increased risk for severe illness if they contract COVID-19. This includes the elderly, people with cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD, heart conditions, an immunocompromised state, especially from solid organ transplants, obesity, pregnancy, sickle cell disease, type 2 diabetes, or are frequent smokers.
Hi everybody, I'm Pramod, another mini-med student. So one of the most common reasons people don't wear masks is based on the belief that covering your nose and mouth with one restricts your airflow by limiting the amount of oxygen you can take in and restricting the amount of carbon dioxide you can exhale, and thus contributing to respiratory illness. However, the science disproves this false. I will say it's unreasonable to say you can breathe just as comfortably with a mask as without one, but there's no evidence suggesting you aren't getting adequate airflow with a mask. Carbon dioxide particles you need to exhale and oxygen you need to inhale are small enough so that they can easily pass through a mask to allow you to ventilate, but airborne droplets carrying the virus that masks are meant to block are big enough so they can't pass through. So the cloth mask you and I wear every day act as a filter that allows you to ventilate properly while also stopping the spread of the virus. Even if you want to wear a mask, it can be difficult to pinpoint which one to wear when there are so many types out there. The most common type of mask, and the one most people should wear, is a washable, reusable, multi-layered cloth mask, which can effectively block one from transmitting their infection to another. They're usually most effective when they snugly fit over your nose, mouth, so you can block the transmission while also breathing comfortably. There are also other types like surgical masks and N95 respirators. They tend to be more specialized, and we should usually save those for medical personnel who directly interact with COVID-19 infected patients every day. By all means, don't look or use a mask that have exhalation valves. These valves work to filter the air that you breathe in, so it doesn't contain any dangerous particles, but it can't filter the air you breathe out. So you might have the virus and accidentally breathe out a bunch of particles that can infect others who are defenseless. So it's mostly recommended that if you're a normal person not medical personnel, that you just use a regular cloth mask and fit it over yourself tightly.
So masks might be a temporary solution, right? But a more permanent solution is a vaccine. And before we talk about vaccines specifically for COVID, we'll talk about vaccines in general. So basically what the immune system does is it creates antibodies in response to pathogens. And let me explain those two terms really quick. A pathogen is any kind of substance that can enter the body and create a disease or illness. And an antibody is something that is a substance that the immune system creates to fight against that pathogen. And two things to know about antibodies. One, each antibody developed by the immune system will only fight against a single pathogen. right? It's not engineered to fight against every pathogen, just a specific one that entered the body at a recent time. And second, once the immune system has created an antibody before, the second time around, if the pathogen comes back, then the immune system will be able to create the antibody very quickly. And basically what a vaccine does, a vaccine is a weakened version of a pathogen. So when it enters the body, it won't actually do harm to the body, but the immune system sees that as a pathogen and starts to develop an antibody against it. So when the actual disease instead of the vaccine comes, or when the actual pathogen enters the body, the immune system already has the blueprint to create an antibody against that specific pathogen.
So now that you have a general idea of what vaccines do, we can delve into vaccines that have recently been in the news, such as the ones from Pfizer and Moderna. So the production of a vaccine is a multi-phase process. Phase 1 is the research phase, in which scientists identify the proper type of vaccine and how it'll work. Phase 2 involves determining the safety and proper dosage of the vaccine. During this phase, 80 to 100 people are involved in early clinical trials. Phase 3 has to do with determining the efficacy of the vaccine. This involves clinical trials in which thousands of volunteers of all age groups are vaccinated and monitored over a period of time. At the end of Phase 3, a company must get licensing and approval from the various health organizations around the world, like the CDC in the US. After approval, the vaccine is distributed around the world for commercial use. Phase 4 is what we are currently in with the coronavirus vaccine, as it involves continued monitoring of the vaccine to ensure its safety and proper use. Now, the first vaccines from these companies are being sent all over the world, but this doesn't necessarily mean that everything will instantly go back to normal. It won't be until late 2021 until a majority of the US population is vaccinated. This means that you must continue to socially distance and wear a mask in order to protect those around you. Lastly, I want to stress just how great of a feat this is. Vaccine development usually takes upwards of 5 to 10 years before being approved, and the fact that a coronavirus vaccine was produced so quickly is truly a testament to how hard healthcare workers around the world have been working to ensure a safer and brighter future for all of us.
So if you were to take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Many of us are young and healthy, and if we ever get COVID, the chance of us knowing that we are actively spreading it is really low. This puts everyone around us at risk. So that leads me to the big question. Why should you wear a mask? The reason you should wear a mask isn't because others tell you to do it, it isn't because you see others doing it, and it isn't because you won't be let into your favorite restaurant without one, and it isn't because it protects you. The reason you should wear a mask is because it protects those around you. It will protect your loved ones, your friends, your family, but most importantly, it will protect everyone. So after all of that, let me ask you once more, why do you wear a mask?
I wear a mask to protect others, not myself.
Now I wear a mask because my friend has severe asthma and I want to protect him.
I wear a mask to protect my mom, who's diabetic, and my brother, who has asthma.
I wear a mask every day to protect the people in my community who shouldn't have to suffer because of my own bad luck.
I wear a mask in order to set a good example for everyone else.
I wear a mask to display support for everyone else in our community because fighting COVID-19 is a team effort.
I wear a mask to protect everyone.